Hey guys, Jake. I wanted to do a video, and this is regarding different terminologies within the freestyle cutting group. Now, this pattern is called a double cut. So, a double cut can be many different patterns, but what's important about a double cut is that you cut the mat once, okay, your first strike, and you cut the already separated top piece another time. Okay, now this is one of the grade 2 cuts, but there are many different patterns, so that's something to keep in mind. But a double cut is just any cutting pattern where you cut the mat once and you cut the already severed top piece another time. Okay, now moving on. In any double cut, triple cut, things like that, you have what's called your initial cut. Now your initial cut is usually your most important cut in complex cutting patterns. So your first cut, like say right here, is your initial cut. And say you're going to do a double and say another grade 2 cut. You do another looping pattern, so you cut like once, then loop, and then cut again. So that's a double cut, but this cut right here that you made first is called your initial cut. Now your initial cut is usually the most important cut that you'll start off with. So it's very important that you have good speed, good edge alignment especially, and good power to pass through the target. Alright, now moving on. A setup cut. Now this is mostly for grade 3 cuts. Now for grade 3, they're basically double cuts, but they're preceded by an initial, kind of like an initial strike, so to speak. So your setup cut is going to be the first cut you do. Now all this cut does is it tests your edge alignment, speed, power, and it shortens the mat. But it should not really affect the mat at all. Okay, so after you do that, then you're gonna do a double, let's say, a double cut, and say do a cutting pattern like that. I believe is one of the grade 3 patterns. So your setup cut is your first initial strike you made right here. Okay, and after that you do a double or triple or whatever cutting pattern that you want to do. Okay, now a true triple cut. This is one cutting pattern where you cut the mat once towards the bottom. You have your initial cut right here. Then for a true triple cut, you cut the severed top piece another 2 times. Okay, that's very important because unlike a double cut, you're only cutting the top piece once to sever the top piece, and then another time to cut it again. That's a double cut. But a triple cut is where you cut it 2 times. Now, the thing about true triple cut is you must cut once at the bottom, then your second strike has to be at the top, and your third strike in the middle. Okay? That's what characterizes a true triple cut. Your initial cut at the bottom, then your second cut at the top, and your last cut in the middle. Okay. Now there's many different patterns that you can do, but this is just one of the patterns that I usually favor. Now, moving on, you have a modifying cut, and this is only usually used for a triple cut or a quadruple cut. Now, okay, modifying cut is, let's say, you have your initial cut, then your modifying cut is a cut that'll pass underneath your initial cut. This should be your second strike right there. Okay, so modifying cut is any cut where you cut below your initial cut. All right, and then you can finish it off with third cut for a modified triple. Okay, that's where the modified triple gets its name, because we have a modifying cut. Okay, so just thought you might want to know that. And a finishing cut is pretty much any cut where you do a complex cutting pattern. So it can be a double, a triple, whatever. Any complex cutting pattern. And the last strike is going to be your finishing cut. So it doesn't matter what cutting pattern you're doing, but your last strike is called your finishing cut. Okay, and usually for complex cutting patterns like doubles, triples, quadruple cuts, whatever, your last strike has to at least be pretty fast, transitioning from your initial cut. So that way you can catch the mat as it's falling, and things like that. So that's it. Oh, there's one more. Oh, I guess I need to draw it out. Okay, sorry for the messing drawing, but I need to go over a quad cut. Okay, so far I believe what's been posted on YouTube and to my own knowledge, the only quad cut that I have seen so far is a modified quad cut. So that's when you cut the mat, then you have a modifying cut, then a third cut, and a fourth cut. Now, your initial cut has to be, of course, towards the bottom of the mat. Your modifying cut has to be lower than your initial strike. Then you cut the very top severed piece here. Okay, so this section right here is the first piece that's going to fall. So after your second cut, you pass underneath your initial cut. You go back to the top piece and you cut that top piece another 2 times for a total of 4 different strikes. That's why we call it a quad cut, but in reality it's a modified quad cut. Okay, because you are not technically cutting this entire top piece 3 separate times. Now a true quad cut, I don't believe I've seen anyone do it before, but that's basically when you cut Okay, that's basically where you cut the top severed piece here another 3 times. So you have your initial strike, and then you cut the top severed piece another 3 times. Okay, obviously the pattern doesn't really matter, but I do, well, at least for now, I don't believe I've seen anyone pull a true quadruple cut. But I guess that's one of the things on my training list. Okay, anyways, I hope that helps everyone. If you have any questions regarding the terminology we use as freestyle cutters. So, there you go. Give you a look there. And once again, thank you for watching, and as always, train safe, cut safe, and have fun. Thank you for watching, guys.